Alright, abusia mami mo bibia kwa ba na memfa mbra mega TV and platform eso. Enka me yakwa yese de ye makwadwo no. In fact, eduru kwasi so a na yasesa ye ho. And enka me yakwa yese Ghana yem politicians no, majority of them are hypocrites. Hypocrite in the sense 2016 na ye maame Charlotte Osei ena na oye the Electoral Commissioner ewukurum ha. Na yewra President Akuffo Addo den time na oye candidate na onya medi president intine nani abre ekogina US Washington DC bra omukọ conference bi summit bi making emphatically say eye maame no ene n'adwumayefo omo ayeden omo transfer foreign names and what moka say fake names Akuffo Addo ne kan yo ibekwa kuti nsem na wo ho membo mitim enka asem. In fact making emphatically say maame ne person regi election no enti for that matter no omo request for new voters register. In fact omo ye ya ema ndiye wose tu kwatwe no etwere honum ene ekọ 2016 yankopem pe bone so eyewo Akuffo Addo ena maame declare say wa win. The same thing happened brana ya Aforijan also. Omo requested for forensic audit ema Aforijan ebie na pono edimomo. Sami Awuku a oye member of the NPP esan the leading member campaign member edima Bawumia and team now. In fact, we declare strike all over 10 regions, then time no 10 regions. And they were 16 because of forensic audit and no mobility. Na say adruso na say den so ndisi for say there be there mo so mo ye no. Mami Jemensa anye ne ye bi hu no. Ye hu tete 2020 elections no organize ye na nye transparent. Enti for that matter no. Yen so ene kra no asema eni sebia dance twabidi ho ya dance ene voters identity bi ho no ma na se voters omudin bi ho no ma go so mo transfer omo illegally unhu ba bi beko adwumako esiam ene de keka ho obawi achi na chese easy for edifo na mo se sadia no we say request for forensic audit ne ho asem ena abaye asem da easy for so mo say forensic audit there. They will never do that. I don't know, meaning bibi tuntum anase something illegal ekoso Electoral Commission there. I don't know. Yanko tie hypocrite Akuffo Addo and some of kan 2016 brand in near brace so be president. Any the forensic audit anase how pressure is man ye there was so in there deny that right na NDC for ewo no Yankopon hyirawo. Mesro so be subscribe to your platform na wa like it madi na wa share na foforo so anya bi ahwe yenkotie nsem no emfamre koba de aka bia na yebeto aso media na mega
no cancer pa na dwono a awrade eja ehye wanum a ewo so no they see them as good people, but they are destroyed. Yeah. Say kojo upon kromase okọ Pentecost so say ehimfa so okọ ehimfa o. Okọ dia sorry, also okọ dia sorry. Is it Pentecost? Pentecost. ICGC. Kojo upon kroma o. I don't know some microphone here ICGC Pentecost, ICGC Pentecost, ICGC Pentecost. Why? ICGC Pentecost, ICGC Pentecost. Omo nyina Saso mpa no mo pe. Omo nyina saso no mo saso no mienu omo pe. ICG Pentecost. Look, if you have any fear of God in you, 10 million Ghana cedis. Odiso di abodero. Enso ni nie. Enka fa opposition to us say no. I don't deserve to lead Ghana again as a minister. So ye no kwafo a ampase onyame esunsum wo mu ne said de mo nam esi preach Bible na so bansere de dam ase no a enka fa opposition to us say no. Me Kojo Ponkruma, I don't deserve this. Said they now sit Joy FM. Nene Kasa, not knowing a criminal, complete one. Sorry, my minye we na GH no mafa we no twaso. Almost say, ene, the NDC, any Ghana for Kabiano, and Kwasiasem, EFA, a voter register. No, yes, sir. Pacho 2016, 2015, Yankoti Akuffo Addo, ni views on the fraud voter register. Say now, almost saying Crawford at the violence, eba. Unim the Omaye. Oma kwa asofo no akomo mu nyina sika eduru kwasi adana wu preacher ya akase omo mpese omo de violence eba ewo eye about we mu no nyame mpene wo mo da omo complain no omo kasa dodo omo de violence eba kwame tie de Akuffo Addo eka kire yen 2015 the state of Ghana, because he and his wife Rebecca think say we have a fraud voter register that will not allow them to come and steal this country. Inti Ghana ebesi. That is Akuffo Addo. That the democracy is under threat. You go to Akuffo Addo. When me tell you 1111. You go to Akuffo Addo. Ghana Nibia.
But it is also that option of being able to change, which some of us fear is being threatened. No one should take democracy for granted. Democracy must be protected at all times, and right now it is under threat in Ghana. The biggest threat facing Ghana's democracy is our fraudulent voter record. But it is also that option of being able to change, which some of us fear is being threatened. No one should take democracy for granted. Democracy must be protected at all times, and right now it is under threat in Ghana. The biggest threat facing Ghana's democracy is our fraudulent voter register. It contains millions of extra names. The register is bloated. It is estimated that upwards of 2 million of the registered voters are bogus. It is packed with ineligible underage voters and foreign and fake identities. If we're calling ourselves a democracy, this is unacceptable. This is a real problem, the kind that cannot be brushed under the carpet, as it provides the vehicle for manipulation and fraud. In 2012, we compiled a new register. The Electoral Commission captured allegedly some 13 million people. It set about to clean it up and came up with a figure of 14 million later. Ghana has a median age of 20, yet we have over 55% of the population registered to vote. This is by far the highest in the whole of Africa and its young population. The numbers simply do not add up. We have presented evidence of tens of thousands of cross-border registrations of non-nationals on the register to the Electoral Commission. For a country where a margin of 40,000 votes can determine who wins an election, having a register bloated by over 2 million votes, 2 million names, is totally unacceptable. 3 out of the 5 main political parties have called for a new register. Our 2 living former heads of state, both President Jerry John Rawlings and President John Agyekum Kufuor, several important civil society organizations, religious leaders such as imams, the Christian Council, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, and others have also spoken out in favor of a changed register. On September 16th, a civil society organization, Let My Vote Count, took to the streets in demonstration for a new credible register. Much to everyone's shock, the peaceful demonstration turned bloody when police brutalized the unarmed demonstrators. This type of violence is a troubling occurrence in Ghana. Ghana has worked incredibly hard To preserve her democratic character, one administration shouldn't be allowed to undermine it. And at times, this requires putting the good of the country above partisan interests. In 2012, as you may recall, Ghana was on the knife's edge as a result of the Supreme Court ruling 5-4, rejecting the opposition challenge of the presidential election result. As the leader of the opposition, I decided that the interest of peace and stability require that my supporters and I accept the disputed verdict to prevent any possible turmoil. The hope is that the global community takes notice and urges change before the election, rather than looking back at the 2016 election, shaking their heads saying, "How did this happen?" We are telling you exactly how it's going to happen. All the pieces are in place for a rigged election. As Africans, we have witnessed election-related violence tear countries apart. We know what...
I mean, you see, this man in 2015 threatening everybody, threatening the survivor of Ghana. That's a new voters register. A day will come, we will ask ourselves, how did we get here? This is the man. This is NPP for you. Nana say problem na name to so be Ghana no. Or say extra names be abewrem voter register. Yes sir. Or say foreign and fake identities. Yes sir. Or say cross-border registrations also. Yes sir. Also provide evidence. Yes sir. Assembly and this for Assembly and this for car and you been Akuffo Addo ekai. Tell me. So based on Akuffo Addo threats way and a man electoral commission Nomkote a 5-member committee led by Justice Crab to clean the register. Today, now, maybe some amount for baby so was say based on evidence that they presented. And this is say more be free baby, Eddie Biko baby, illegal transfers. You should say ampa young people pussy to Tabali. Officer no all crano, the sort of officer no crano, Yachina sensei. Aha, Yasia will be a Jumaku Esiam. Aha, Yasia will be wa. What is a easy because the NDC can cry. One NDC presented illegal names. Is na nyantum. Say 258,000 names no or more cleaning. Say any power catch or say young forensic auditor or some yet. Fair. Muntia Akuffo Addo bio. Ghana needs a new voters register. Now, you're 2016. Well, first one, Okokano, Washington, D.C., 20th October 2015. Our Heritage Foundation. And one, the first one, Odika Okokano. Yanti Akuffo Addo on the second basis. Just listen to this man.
Ghana needs a new credit that must be compiled in time for the 2016 general election. After the disputed, Ghana needs a new credible voters register that must be compiled in time for the 2016 general election. After the disputed 2012 presidential election and the controversy that met the 5-4 split decision of the Supreme Court, we dare not go into next year's elections with doubts about the base document for the polls. It is instructive to note that on March the 25th, 2015, President John Mahama, as then chairman of ECOWAS, intervened in the political dispute in neighboring Togo by requesting the postponement of the election originally scheduled for April 15 to May 25, 2015. His intervention was in response to calls from Togo's opposition parties over the credibility of the voters' register, which they alleged was bloated. Indeed, President Mahama urged the Togolese authorities to agree to establish a credible voters' register, arguing that it was important Togo went into the election with a register which enjoyed the confidence of all parties. This request was heeded. The peaceful acceptance of the election result by stakeholders in Togo is indicative of how appropriate the president's intervention was. Clearly, what is good for Togo must be good for Ghana. The evidence we have so far gathered leaves us in no doubt that the biometric voters register compiled in 2012, which so forms the basis of the current electoral roll, is fundamentally flawed and unfit for purpose. Ghana needs a new, credible voters register that must be compiled in time for the 2016 general election.
All right. So, Mr. Akuffo Addo and the NPP thinks, say, their evidences in 2015 Emma omu enyina so say omu enya ahotoso from the EC that look ye cleaning eniema enye ewo mu a ene 2016 no die besi today these guys are telling the NDC and Ghanaians, because this election is between the NPP versus Ghanaians, they are telling Ghanaians that no, it can't be possible. Even if you have evidence, Kranwa, Odia, is they say, Farmer Omono Anshum no Mon Shadi, the Quayom de Befaso. Come in. Does it make sense? This is 82-year-old man or so with Bawumia. Bawumia was sitting there. No, Bonnie Trinko said, Agama lizard, no. Today, they are telling us that no. Omukache Ghana for not tie kwame or say Nanado Kasano say Christian Council for nyina be say a fraud. You are no Monkasayo, but or the say one come force. And they couldn't come and say no yankasa. Akuffo Addo. Today, this is MPP. Yenkotie Samuel Ku on the new voters register. Yenkotie on point.
That the Supreme Court ruled. He said those even who registered with the National Health Insurance card, it ought not to have happened. He's not saying it's just ignore it. He said it ought not to have happened, meaning that in the first place they shouldn't have done that at all. Now people are saying that I've heard the NDC make commentary that let's just clean it. How are you going to clean it? Are you just going to delete people's names from it? What will be the legal backing to do that? And before every registration, there's a legislative backing, a CI that backs a new registration process. So the issue on its own cannot just go and sit down and say we are deleting. So that's why we're saying the tens and thousands of the evidence that the other political parties have adduced, from the NPP, from the PPP, from the CPP, from the Case Party, from NDP, and the civil society groups that have brought it. It makes reasonable sense to say that to protect the sanctity of our electoral process and also to protect the future of our country, we believe that the cost of violence is higher than the cost of it.
Now, you are a member of the NPP and a member of the Alliance as well. When did you realize that the voters register was bloated?
Ghana's register was put to a litmus test at the Supreme Court. Dr. Akuffo Addo said he registered over 240,000 people abroad. When he was asked to submit the list, he could not even submit more than 700. So what happened to even the 200 and something thousand? And the gap always between the first and the second in our elections is always too close to call. Between Mills and Anado was just about 40,000 votes. And if you have evidence to the tune of over hundreds of thousands, this can make significant changes in the life of every country when it comes to elections.
So you are saying that we will not enter 2016 without a new voters register? On which basis are you saying?
I am convinced, because you see, when this whole thing started, not many parties understood our concern. Some were of the view that, let's try caution, but now most of the political parties are supporting the Abu Ramadan case that the Supreme Court ruled. He said those even who registered with the National Health Insurance card, it ought not to have happened. He's not saying it's just ignore. He said it ought not to have happened, meaning that in the first place they shouldn't have done that at all. Now people are saying that I've heard the NDC make commentary that let's just clean it. How are you going to clean it? Are you just going to delete people's names from it? What will be the legal backing to do that? And before every registration, there's a legislative backing, a CI that backs a new registration process. So the issue on its own cannot just go and sit down and say we are deleting. So that's why we're saying the tens and thousands of the evidence that the other political parties have adduced, from the NPP, from the PPP, from the CPP, from the Case Party, from NDP, and the civil society groups that have brought it. It makes reasonable sense to say that to protect the sanctity of our electoral process and also to protect the future of our country.
Yes, Nadia Debbie. They went around threatening people. And again, the Nikoka said, voter register no a cleaner. Or then talk about Kwame for Christian Council and the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference, almost joint statement on election of Fatu and Amenkai Bibin Choma for 2015. Me babe chemo asamwa Christian Council and Ghana. Okay, so press statement by the Christian Council of Ghana and the Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference issued in Accra May 18th, 2016. Now, Ubon say, Omo Boboso education ya de ade. Ebeba bedru eye elections so. Into Roba Ebra election no. On say ma preamble. We don't need that one. Into the Robra sa the Robra into state of health insurance on beka wansem. Say omo joint statement ni yo. Oh, my back cranny. Oh, my back cranny. Oh, my baby. Oh, Ghana economy. Oh, my wants him. He say, okay, economy. Cry. Wouldn't talk about. Hey, me cry 17 cities. They cut $1. Okay, didn't talk about. GH bet me a better. 2016 general elections. So hold it here. Now, this is a joint statement coming from Catholic Bishop Conference and the Christian Council. And I don't know whether for the past 8 years, Omatimi issue any joint IBIA on national issues. I don't know. So Charles McCarthy will hold on for me. Editor in the Hawk newspaper. But this is 2016 general elections, a joint statement communique from Catholic Bishop Conference and Christian Council. Let me just pick some few paragraphs here. We note with worry and anxiety the current political atmosphere leading up to elections later this year and wish to call on all politicians and their supporters to be circumspect and decorous in their utterances and actions. We are distressed and worried by the current display of political impunity and complacency evident in intimidation, accusations, counter-accusations, hate speeches, intra-party and inter-party violence, threats of kidnapping and murder, among others. These acts are poisoning the political atmosphere, and so we call on all politicians and their followers to exercise restraint and help calm the emerging political tensions in the country. The problems associated with the recent limited registration exercise have convinced us that some politicians and political parties will do anything and everything to win political power at all costs. We are ashamed. Tio. Voter registration, limited registration, easy. And organize you know. That time no, Christian Council, any Tobo. Christian Council, any a Bishop Conference, for no, womunya political party the share no. Today, you see easy there, easy, yenyama easy for no ahwe. We are ashamed by the reported cases of violence, the transportation of foreigners to register, and the registration of minors during the exercise. This is a sad commentary on our acclaimed democratic credentials, and we call on those involved to bow their heads in shame. We urge our politicians to cease making elections a matter of life and death for Ghanaians. We equally urge our citizens to reject those who come to win with their support with propaganda, money, and gifts, because such people will not do anything for them when they win political power. Inti easy acquire limited registration. MPP are raising issues. Inti only a political party being ashada. Yes, sir. Christian Council. Now, listen to this. The Electoral Commission bears the primary responsibility to conduct free, fair, transparent, and credible elections in Ghana. Therefore, we expect the Commission to engender confidence among all players and continue to remain neutral, fair, honest, and transparent in all its actions and decisions. The Commission should continue the process of engagement with all political parties and other stakeholders on the way forward for the elections. Pertinent issues. Okay, so let me pick it from here. Pertinent issues such as the problems associated with the limited voter registration or voters. Okay, so hold on. The Commission should continue the process of engagement with all political parties and other stakeholders on the way forward for the elections. Pertinent issues, good, such as the problems associated with the limited voter registration exercise, the cleaning of the voters' register as ruled by the Supreme Court, biometric verification, among others, need to be addressed now. Now, related critical issues, including what the EC intends to do with the proposed steering committee, as well as the needed reforms. Okay, so based on this, the EC proposes, okay, omuya an independent committee. You know, a 5-member committee led by VCRAC Crab Committee ma omobe share voter register. Today, the other political parties, Ghanaians, CSOs, they are asking for an independent forensic auditing. I said no. Oh, they are now busan and then they yadi aye bepreso. Amana aye. This is Christian Council, Bishop Conference. Kwame, say almost say Christian Council or your interviewer. Allow the easy. Allow the easy. Allow the easy. Yes, we understand that the Christian Council and those groups were set up by the NPP. But at least you can use your brain. Assuming you are a Christian Council leader, but watch me, at least use your brain. That look, on my way, BBC problem, beba. And now Metisena Obibusa say, okay, so maybe a forensic auditing no. Then they can decide that let's sit down and see how we can clean it. Yes, you're quite election will be able to raise concerns. How do you address the concerns? How your posture from the easy. You also count it. Otra Akuffo Addo say 2015 Ghana economic matters can send the country into the abyss. In 2015, today we want to concentrate on the election matters. And then we are not, then I've seen them, Bodiaba, Jenaba, Entosi Abana, Omo High Crofo, Munye video near Fankoto to TikTok, Bodiaba, Jenaba, Bodiana Bebri, Bodiana.
That's right. So what could Yakoti is a number? Enti Mibisa say Akuffo Addo ene Adentia was showed the easy no. Adentia ne wama easy I so pompous. We can't say it was all tears because the Electoral Commission is being guarded by what? It is being guarded by a military personnel and no qualify or much because wanya the papa in the name na dream na enyen fine. Onimso hwa no bia to abehye nso na waye ne bone nti wakofam military efi Bema camp edi omakogu ewo ne fie Akuffo Addo no so onhwe maame ne so se be ya Bawumia obetimi declare Bawumia na oba be president. In fact enye adwuma. It is not going to happen today. It is not going to happen tomorrow. Me say near ewasa moye no be say forensic audit NNDC for a demand there, you must do it. Either hook or crook, you people, you do it because after the more the pressure go papa so. Samia Wukui a demonstration a declare almost and the CSO so muye involved in you people you called on them. And this time around, doesn't matter, say any CS or some the forensic auditing NDC for him, you people must do it. James and because what is good for the Ganda is good for whoever say what is good for the people is good for Mumfanchemi. So we know adage, I have to look very careful on that. So a very sensitive matter, and I don't understand the reasons why it's in only NDC for a hide and seek. Oh, Jack, where are you? I am here. Jack, where are you? I am here. Jack, where are you? I am here. You see, sa is in any NDC for a, and it is bad. Adia is in fact, she is causing fear and panic because this election, no, and this for making it clear. So more I'm just a forensic auditor, in fact, empathy in a sense, they are going to protest and to make sure the right thing is done. And I fully support him. And as I fully support them because more people my benzo, ye penemo mo ye dia is a DNC say a knee, one person obey. You see, this is a arrogance of power. We a arrogance of power, and we will never sit here and watch MPP for doing that kind of hypocrisy no ɛwɔ kurom ha ɛbɛhwɛ ama ɔmo adi dwuma ɛwɔ sɛ ɔmo di with the easy no wate aseɛ eti nyankopɔn nhyira ma memfa wo nsi mɛsrɛ sɛ ɔbɛsubscribe to yɛn platform no na walike dwumadi na wahyɛ na afoforɔ nso ɛtumi ɛnyɛ bi ahwɛ medi ano mɛka bɔ mmɔden na subscribe na fa comment to me maame Kyebaafo wɔ New York America nyankopɔn nhyira me maame rɔyɛ bi ɛwɔ UK nyankopɔn ɛnyɛ me maame kɛseɛ ɛne obi biara a ɔhwɛ Mega TV no nyankopɔn ɛnhyira papaapa medika aka about 90% of your viewers no munya subscribe yɛ nyɛ mo boapaeɛ sɛ bi aburu sɛ bi nya ado ayɛ a wohwɛ yɛ na ayɛ na yiri free bi wɔ hɔ no ma wohwɛ a ɛyɛ other social media messages na be pop bo nso be wie no na wantimi unsubscribe mesrɛ me ka ne sei na daworoma na watimi de nsa abɔ subscribe button no so na bibia timi ayɛ de akoso wano itimi sra wada yɛne sa ɛfa mai intino isi ne deɛ that hypocrisy of NPP no it will stop so ɛdi nti ne NPP for more pressure isi no ɛma ne nyɛ and they are rather saying say oh no yes they will demonstrate and in kakro nga be manya obi abi demonstrate na ya clash and wa person man we money be bogu so and ka hu say of bono person man ne bono se be bu se be nya do oba ono so eti mu bi makra bye bye.